How's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. Today I want to break down a pretty awesome interview that happened yesterday on September 23rd. Major Nelson and Phil Spencer from Microsoft interviewed Todd Howard and Pete Hines from Bethesda. They talked a little bit about their experience working together in the past, as well as what the future will hold from working together from this point forward. There is actually a lot of interesting stuff to take away from this interview, a lot more than it may seem at first, and I'm going to take away the most important bits from this interview and break them down for you today. If you do want to watch the interview in its entirety, I'll go ahead and I'll put a link down in the description below. It is an interesting and pretty fun interview to listen to, so I highly recommend you do so after this video. But now let's get to the main important stuff that happened during this interview. I'm going to break it all down in chronological order as it happened from the beginning of the interview to the end, so that way it's just naturally easier to follow. And first off, I want to talk about the overall mood during this interview. The mood seemed very positive. Pete Hines and Todd Howard seemed very happy, and almost like a lot of stress has been lifted from their shoulders. Like this Microsoft deal may have been something they wanted to talk about, or they kind of feared how the community would react to for a while now, and they are kind of pleased with the reaction so far. Or maybe this Microsoft deal just makes a lot of things easier for them, and they just feel a lot happier with this arrangement. And throughout this entire interview, they talk about the great working relationship they had together, meaning both Microsoft and Bethesda, which is a big point to keep in mind here, as Bethesda and Sony have never really gotten along and never really had a smooth working relationship, even when it came to like basic things. If you remember, PlayStation had a lot of issues with mods for Bethesda Game Studios games, and a lot of their first games didn't come to the PlayStation until like even after they already launched on the Xbox. This is just because communication and just their natural working relationship between Bethesda and Sony has never been good. I don't really know why. There's a lot of speculation as to why that might be, but I don't want to go into that speculative direction regarding that kind of stuff. We just know that Bethesda and Sony haven't gotten along, but Microsoft and Bethesda have gotten along perfectly. They have like the same working environment, the same work ethics and core values, and according to them, this partnership was naturally kind of already happening anyway, and this just makes it more official and actually gets them very excited, just judging by the overall mood in this interview. At 4 minutes and 10 seconds into the interview, Todd Howard said most of their team found out about this purchase at the same time the public did, meaning most of Bethesda and ZeniMax found out about this Microsoft and Bethesda purchase at the same time we all did. That is crazy.
You know, for a lot of the company and our teams, they're finding out the same time the world is finding out.
They kept this information pretty limited up to the very higher executive level, it seems, which makes me wonder how credible anyone claiming to have inside information about the situation actually is. There's a lot of people out there claiming to like have inside knowledge about Microsoft and Bethesda exclusivity in regards to Starfield and beyond, and it seems like they wouldn't have that much credibility because up until like the point the public knew, barely anyone in the companies knew either. And that is a huge point to take away from this interview. I wonder why they did this. Maybe they just wanted to keep it as secret as possible up until the announcement to control the like public reaction to it, or maybe there were like talks going on with Sony at the same time. That's just some speculation stuff though. But if this deal was in negotiations for a while, why would Bethesda have done the Deathloop and Ghostwire PlayStation exclusivity? Like, that leads me to believe that either this deal wasn't in discussion for a while, or at least not too long, or it could be a sign that Microsoft and Bethesda exclusivity may not be as likely as some people may think. But during this interview, they did say that this Microsoft and Bethesda purchase situation was in discussion since this summer, the summer of 2020.
But the opportunity that came up over the summer as we started talking about this, to me, just always felt right.
So that confuses things a bit. I don't know why this Deathloop and Ghostwire Sony timed exclusivity thing happened. It's kind of like a weird piece of this entire puzzle. However, one thing I'm kind of thinking about is what if this entire Bethesda Microsoft news is the tipping point for Bethesda to finally open their doors, so to speak, on that Starfield marketing campaign. If these talks were going on since the summer, like it was stated in this interview, then that could be a major reason as to why Bethesda didn't have a BE3 digital showcase equivalent this year, amongst other things like the global situation, and maybe they just didn't feel like they had enough to show. But either way, it's an interesting thing to keep in mind here. Todd states that their games will be better because of this deal, thanks to the technology that Microsoft can assist with.
That our partnerships going forward should be even deeper, and that the games that we have coming up are going to be better for it.
We may very likely see the best and most stable game engine from Bethesda Game Studios to date, thanks to this technology expertise from Microsoft. I wonder if the Bethesda games are going to finally be a thing of the past. Can you imagine? It would feel like we stepped into a different timeline altogether. 2020 is just so crazy. At 6 minutes, Pete Hines reiterates that this was a natural partnership, as Microsoft and Bethesda have formed an amazing relationship over the years, and they both have similar work environments and core values.
You get to know a lot of people and develop a lot of long-lasting relationships. And for us, it's not just what Microsoft and what the Xbox team can do, but it is the relationships that we have with those people and the amount of trust that we have.
Pete and Todd seem to drive the point home that this partnership is the best thing for Bethesda, and I mean, their emotions seems to indicate this as well. This is the happiest I have seen Todd and Pete in a while, and if there truly is none or at least limited exclusivity, then this situation could very well be an amazing thing, not just for Bethesda and Microsoft, but gaming as a whole. And during this entire interview, Pete Hines brings up trust a lot. This makes me wonder if Sony somewhere lied or did something shady in regards to Bethesda in some kind of deal to basically forever further sour their working relationship, but that's just some speculation salt stuff. At 8 minutes, Todd Howard mentions the close working relationship again they've had with Microsoft over the years, even further stating that the main reason this happened is not over access to technology or anything like that, but just because they've had a great working relationship.
That the relationships we've had, that's ultimately what it's about. It's not like one piece of technology or one strategy. And those relationships from the original Xbox.
In fact, Microsoft even doubled the memory amount in the Xbox 360 specifically for Bethesda and Oblivion, a game which was eventually released on the PS3 as well, by the way, and it didn't run as well either, and Sony gave them some more difficulties again. And even further than this, Microsoft even helped bug test Fallout 4 on a personal level in a small capacity.
Even, you know, I've worked with you guys a long time as well. I mean, I remember back in the day with Fallout 3. Pete, I know you remember these stories. I've got Fallout 4 behind me. I was filing bugs with you guys. Remember, I was sending, I don't think this should work, and I know, hopefully, Todd, I don't know if you ever saw them, but I mean, I was deep into it and playing it, so.
That is how close Bethesda and Microsoft actually are. At 17 minutes, Todd is kinda hilariously and literally pulled onto the spotlight to talk about Starfield.
Which was a nice segue to my next question, because since I'm controlling everything here, Starfield, what's up?
I think it's getting really good hype for a game no one's seen.
And he basically gives kind of the same answer they have always given, but with a little dash of something extra. Todd says he thinks it's getting a lot of hype for a game that nobody has seen yet, which, I mean, that's true. He then says Microsoft has seen the game.
Well, you know, people at Microsoft, some of them seen some stuff.
Which is interesting, but shouldn't actually be too surprising if you think about it, as they stated earlier in this interview that Microsoft helped bug test Fallout 4 prior to release as well. Some may think the fact that Microsoft has seen Starfield already is a sure sign of Xbox and PC exclusivity for Starfield, which it very well could be, but if you keep in mind the fact that they've also seen Fallout 4 and probably Skyrim as well pre-release, then that seems to taper this theory down a bit, and I kinda bet Sony saw the game before release as well, because there's a rumor going around that Starfield was kind of in talks with Bethesda to be a timed exclusive before any of this news happened. Todd also seems to get very, very excited, almost like he really wants to say more, but then kinda stops himself and slows himself down a bit, and that makes me believe that something could be coming soon regarding Starfield, or at least sooner than we might think. Maybe we'll get another teaser at an up-and-coming Xbox event, or maybe even at the Game Awards later on this December. Either way, this conversation and Todd Howard's body language and mannerisms really make me feel like Starfield 2021 is real, and that gets me hyped. At 17 minutes and 30 seconds, Todd says they are able to do amazing things on the next-gen systems.
And once we got on the new systems, the things we found we could do, and so it's a major engine rewrite on that game, and you know, people don't know me, I like to wait as long as possible to show stuff.
By next-gen systems, I wonder if he means like next-gen consoles, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, or if he just means next-gen systems in terms of their next-gen technology and their engine. Either way, he further confirms that Starfield is running on a major engine overhaul, which anyone in the gaming industry can tell you essentially that means a new game engine. True new game engines are a rare thing in the industry. For example, Unreal 5 has a lot of the original code that was in the original Unreal Engine. engine. So simply calling this new Starfield engine just another version of the Creation Engine is an ignorant and misleading way to word things, even if it's correct on a technical level, as most people not in the know who aren't in the industry will just assume when they hear that it's not a new engine and therefore will suck and just be a recycled version of the Fallout 76, Fallout 4, and Skyrim engine. And that can do damage to different companies if you kinda spread some misinformation like that. By industry standards, this is a new engine. And from how Todd is making it sound, it's a very, very huge overhaul, and it's overhauled in such a way that they can now do some pretty amazing things that it seemed like he really wanted to talk about but didn't. Seemed like he stopped himself for a second there. Plus, Bethesda is with Microsoft now, a technology giant. Do you really think their new game engine is going to be just a recycled version of the Fallout 4 one? It would be kinda silly to say that. Not only is their new game engine probably going to be amazing, but I bet you they're not going to have as many bugs and issues as well. Todd then jokes around and says that they're closer to showing off Starfield than they were at the beginning of this interview, which is just a troll as time progressed during the interview, so obviously we're closer to the time the game gets fully revealed, but as I said earlier, he just seemed to be giving off that vibe that something might be coming sooner than we might think, but that again is a speculation salt moment. At 18 minutes, they talk more about Game Pass.
Game Pass has been a really big success for us in a couple of fronts. I mean, we've got live service games, to use our own vernacular, like ESO and Fallout 76. It's given us a chance to bring those things as we keep making fixes and updates for folks to give it a try.
Which seems to be the prime focus behind the entire purchase in the first place. In fact, many people and even some credible websites totally misread the original press release a couple days ago, stating that all future Bethesda games will be available for free to anyone on Xbox Game Pass on Xbox and PC. Most people either misread this or twisted the words to spread some misinformation and basically try to confirm that this meant all of Bethesda's future games would be only on the Xbox and the PC, but that isn't what the statement was. The topic was on Game Pass, a service which literally isn't on the PlayStation, meaning the PS5 would not have been relevant in this conversation anyway, whether there is Xbox exclusivity or not. Platform exclusivity at this time has only been confirmed to be on a case-by-case basis. Starfield is not confirmed to be Microsoft exclusive, and Microsoft even said that any games that have already been announced will not be exclusive, and they said that statement following already mentioning Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. And they also stated they wanted to be as hands-off as possible regarding Bethesda. In fact, ZeniMax still retains publishing rights, indicating just how much leeway Microsoft is actually giving Bethesda here. So no, it's not confirmed that Starfield or The Elder Scrolls 6 will be Microsoft exclusive. Anyone saying that is just not paying attention, or they want to spread misinformation, which means they suck as a person. But the focus on this conversation in this interview continues to be on Game Pass. Pete Hines even states Bethesda is excited about Game Pass as it allows more people in the community a chance to try their game to see if they like it before they buy it or before they become a fan of Bethesda, thus getting Bethesda more fans without them actually having to risk spending money on a game they might not like. So even if Bethesda misses out on some original purchases here from Game Pass players, they still get some more fans on a long-term basis, which will probably spend money later on. And Microsoft actually seems to be focusing more on Game Pass this year and this console generation more than anything else. In fact, Microsoft seems to be stepping away from exclusivity a bit this generation, almost to spite Sony. That way they can try to defeat Sony without even having as many exclusives as the PlayStation does. So either way, everyone in this conversation, in this interview, and in previous ones are seeming to avoid the topic of Bethesda being exclusive to PC and Xbox, at least for now. So either there won't be much exclusivity at all and the focus is indeed on Game Pass, or they just kind of want to keep quiet about exclusivity until the last minute situation. However, it seems, judging by recent conversations, that it's focusing more on the Game Pass side of things. Also at 21 minutes and 20 seconds, Todd Howard seems to indicate that Microsoft will assist Bethesda with a lot of things, including possibly marketing and optimization, as that way Todd Howard and his creative team can focus more on the creative side of the business and game development, and in that way their games can be even better. And that is one positive aspect to this situation, even if there is no exclusivity. And one last major point to take away from all of this is in Microsoft Microsoft words specifically, they're referring to the situation as a partnership with Bethesda. Not a buyout, not a studio merge or transition or purchase or anything like that, but specifically a partnership. Phil Spencer said that word many times, and in my opinion, this is a great thing, unless there is exclusivity, because I really don't like exclusivity in gaming. But to be a realist, Sony kinda had it coming for a long time now, as they claim their exclusives put them on a whole nother level above Microsoft, and always will. So if Bethesda does end up being Microsoft exclusive, even though it would piss me off a bit, I guess the gaming community is at fault here for helping push that into reality by putting Sony on such a high pedestal about their exclusives. I hope this isn't the case though, but in my opinion thus far there hasn't been any confirmable evidence stating that there is any 100% Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6 exclusivity. Exclusivity at this point in time is on a case-by-case basis, and I think most likely major games won't be affected like Starfield or TES 6, but maybe new IPs will be, like Spy Team or Giant Monster News. Xbox will no doubt get access to DLC expansions and that kind of stuff at first though. I'm kinda certain that's gonna happen, but only time will tell. Either way, this interview did help clear up a few things, but most importantly, the greatest thing to take away from this interview is just how excited Todd Howard seems to be about Starfield. I mean, just how happy and healthy Todd looks. Both Todd and Pete seem very comfortable and excited now, and hopefully these vibes will carry over and mean great things for Starfield and beyond. That's going to finish up today's video though. This video was brought to you by the following amazing people. If you want a video shout out like this, support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or as an exclusive channel member here on YouTube. Like the video and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and check for links down in the description below for other ways to follow the channel and the community. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Todd Howard interviews Todd Howard about Starfield.
It just works.